And now we're going to do arm circles. So we're going to bring your arms up to 90 degrees out by your sides. And we're going to go into golfer's grip. So we're going to take the thumbs and extend them like the hitchhiker position. And we're going to take all the fingertips and put them on the tips of the pads of the palms, just like that. And so we want that extension and that activation. I want you to bring this arm down a little bit and just try to keep them at 90 degrees as much as you can. And we're going to make small 6-inch circles with both hands at the same time. And you're going to try to engage your shoulder blades by squeezing them together and down. And then we're going to make those 6-inch circles. So moving forward, up and down. There we go. We'll do. I'm trying to keep them even. You have some tendency to want to lift this right side up higher, so I'm just going to try to make sure that we're keeping them the same. So we would do 20 to 40 of those, but we're going to fast forward, and so we're going to reverse the direction. So same hand position, but palms now face up, thumbs back, and using the same thing with the shoulder blades. Now we're going to go in reverse circles, 6-inch circles, yep, squeezing those shoulder blades. Careful not to pop the chest out forward or drop the head low. And keep looking straight ahead. Alright. And so that's going to start to stabilize that thoracic area. So we're going to fast forward from this one. And we're going to get into static extension position. So I'll have you get down on your hands and knees. Hands and knees. Hands below shoulders and knees below hips. Apart. You bring your knees a little closer together. You should bring your feet a little closer together also. And then we're going to make sure that those, yep, that looks good. And so to begin this, we're going to move your hands about 4 inches and forward. Yep, just like that. And now we're going to realign your shoulders over your hands, which is going to pull your hips forward. And so we're going to create a deep arch in your low back, and we're going to pull your shoulder blades together and sink into them. And we're going to hold into this position. We're going to drop your head and let it relax. Just completely let it go. There you go. And keeping that engagement in your shoulders, where they're dropped down and your shoulder blades are squeezing together, and that arch in your low back. You could come forward, walk your hands out a little bit further, and then bring your shoulders over in line with them so that your hips are, yep, there you go. We want your hips in forward of your knees to keep that low back arch in there. Alright, well that one's looking pretty good. That's getting that bilateral hip demand and that thoracic extension working together. So we would usually hold this for about 2 minutes, but we're going to fast forward. And so then the next position we're going to get into is upper spinal floor twist. So I'm going to have you lay flat on your back, facing the sky. And I'm going to have you now roll to one side on your shoulder and your hip. And I want 90 degrees from your hip to your knees and your knees to your ankles. So bring your knees up, yep, just like that. And keep them stacked, and then one arm out. Put the other on top of it. There we go. Let's lower this down. You're reaching up. There you go. And now we're going to open that right arm up and over towards the other side, and we're going to put this left arm on the knees, and we're going to keep the knees from separating so that the hip has to stay in that position. We're going to really just get this motion in the upper spine. And so with holding that and keeping your arm active and working its way towards the ground, we're going to look towards the direction of your hand. There we go. And we're going to work on relaxing that hand down to the ground. We want this to really just happen in the upper spine. That's why we keep these knees over each other so that the hips have to stay stacked. And we'll fast forward this. Instead of staying in this position for 1 to 3 minutes, we're going to exit out and we're going to switch sides. So I want you to, there you go, slowly roll over, put your knees on this other side, and I want 90 degrees from your knees to your hips and your knees to your ankles. And I want you to keep those knees stacked and open that left arm over to the other side. Put that right arm on top of your knees and let that arm fall down. Let's bring your knees up towards your chin a little. There we go. And then look the direction of your hand. Try to bring your hand as close to 90 degrees to your body. So let's drop it down a little bit. Up, up. And there we go. And now we will stay in that position for 1 to 3 minutes. We'll fast forward. And so you can come slowly back to neutral, laying on your back. And actually we're going to have to get up and move to a wall for this one. So I'll have you stand and lay. I want you to put both feet on the wall and make 90 degrees with your knees and your feet. Both feet on the wall. Lay flat on the ground. And feet 90 degrees. And so bring your hips closer to the wall. That looks pretty good. Knees, feet up. Bring your butt closer to the wall. Feet up. And then I want you to have your arms at 45 degrees, palms up. And I want your left leg ankle to cross over your right knee. And I want you to bring that left knee towards the wall. If your butt is lifting off the floor, then it is, so we need to back you off the wall. Until your butt stays on the floor. Okay, and so then I want you in that position to push your left knee towards the wall. Make sure your foot is active. Okay, looks good. Okay, so we will hold this position, but for now we're going to fast forward and we're going to switch legs. So back to both feet on the wall, hip width apart, 90 degrees, and then let's bring that right leg into the left knee. Push that right knee towards the wall. We want to watch out for pelvis motion, so I want you to try to not push this pelvis upright. Keep them there, keep them even, but still keeping that knee pushing towards the wall. And then we would relax, keeping the upper body relaxed in this position, and just engaging your hip to move that knee towards the wall. Okay, and you can return to neutral. We're going to come back to the mat over here for downward dog. So I want you on hands and knees to start. Knees directly under your hips and arms directly under your shoulders. And then from this position, I want you to put all 5 toes on the ground and press your hips back and up into down dog. And so we're going to really try to keep an arch in this low back. And so we're going to bend your knees as much as we need. And we're going to drop your head, relax your head. And just keep your arms straight, pressing into all 5 fingers and the palms equally. And then you're going to have pretty significant bend. You don't have much flexion in that lumbar spine. Try walking your feet back a little bit. Keep walking them back. A little more. Okay. Bend those knees. And we would hold this position for several minutes. The end goal is to have your knees completely straight and in locked in extension, while keeping that arch in your low back. But we need to, it looks like, address some other exercises because this exercise is too difficult for you to get any arch in your low back. So we will move on from this. So go ahead and relax. Let's come to lying flat on your back. This is number 9. We're doing supine foot circles and point flexes. And so I want you to lay both legs flat on the ground, about hip width apart. Bring them together a little bit. And then I want you to pick up your right leg and bring your knee towards your chest. And at 90 degrees, I want you to hold your foot upright and your knee at 90 to your ankle and your knee at 90 to your hip. And then I want you to grab the back of your leg with your arms, both arms. And we're going to, using only the ankle and not keeping the knee silent, we're going to rotate the foot clockwise. And then we're going to pause there and we're going to rotate counterclockwise. And we would do 20 to 40 of those each direction. But we're going to fast forward for now. And we're going to have you do point flexes. So you're going to point your toes towards the trailer, and we're going to then flex your toes towards the plants behind you. And keeping that activity in the ankle and not in the knee. We will do 20 of those, but we're going to fast forward, and we're going to relax that leg onto the ground. Completely flat, and then we're going to pick up the left leg, and we're going to make the 90-90, and keeping that foot upright. We're going to grab your other leg. We're also going to keep that foot that's on the ground straight up, and we're going to, now using your ankle, not your knee, activate those clockwise circles. So we're going to point your toes towards the table and then pull them back towards the bushes. Repeat that. And we will fast forward through this and we'll play you flat. And we'll come into the final exercise, which is air bench. So we'll actually have you stand back up and come over to the wall. And we're going to have you keep your hips and your shoulders against the wall. And I want you to press your low back into the wall. And I want you to walk your feet out in front of you. We're going to kind of come into a squat and keep walking out. Ideally, we're at about 105 degrees. We want your knees, but we stop whenever your low back starts to pull away from the wall. It may be significantly less than 105. That low back against the wall is really what we need. And then we're going to have those knees over the ankles. And let me see. Yep. And we're going to stay in this position. You should really relax that upper body and you should feel it in your quads. If you can go any lower, that's great. That's the goal, like I said, is 105. But for now, we're going to just keep that low back against the wall and pressing into your feet. You should see your toes. Your knees should be directly over your ankles, and head up and forward and relaxed. And we would hold this position for 1 minute.